This program is made possible in part by a production grant from Phillips Buick GMC.
Want to save money servicing your vehicle? Visit Phillips Buick GMC, your Buick GMC certified service dealer. For oil changes, tire repairs, or maintenance, you get more than fast, reliable service. You get fair pricing and quality work done the first time by factory-trained technicians you can trust. And with 48 service bays, no appointments are necessary. Phillips Buick GMC, your Buick GMC certified service dealer, just south of the Villages.
Welcome to the Leesburg High Sports Buzz. I'm your host, Ashley Hunt. I'm here with Coach Randy Trivers, head coach of the Yellow Jackets. Coach, how you doing?
Doing great, Ashley.
Well, we're here to talk about the playoffs. Finally, it looked like earlier in the season there was a chance we weren't going to make it, and we hit on it the last 2 weeks, what needed to happen for that to fall into place, and you guys were able to get into a position to earn a playoff berth and without the tiebreaker that we talked about.
That's correct. It's been certainly a up and down year when it comes to some of the highs that we've had, some of the big wins and some of the lows, some of the losses. But we've been the type of football team that's been able to just keep fighting, and really proud of our kids and our coaching staff that have worked so hard throughout the season to get to this point to where we have an opportunity to now go into the postseason. So, there were points where it maybe looked a little bleak, but our guys just kept on fighting, kept on hanging in there, and this is where we are now. So we're excited about the opportunity.
Well, you were able to go out last week against Lake Weir, get a 31-14 victory on a nice fall night, nice night of football. Come out and played fairly well, defensively, especially in the first half, and we'll get into the highlights in a minute. But there were some other key games, as we just alluded to, that we were waiting on. The scores were kind of coming in. I had the benefit of hearing the scores. You probably didn't. But the South Lake game and the Evans game were key games. Yes.
Well, the Evans game that you mentioned was the biggest key, that Evans had to beat Lake Mineola for us to have a chance to be a playoff team, or at least a chance at the tiebreaker. And Evans was able to do that on their home field and beat Lake Mineola. So that was the big one. Had that not happened, then we wouldn't be here today. Then South Lake beating East Ridge was a big one, because that guaranteed us the runner-up position, as opposed to, had they lost to East Ridge, there would have been a four-state tiebreaker that we would have been playing on Monday, which would have been East Ridge, Lake Mineola, and Leesburg. So we were able to avoid that because South Lake beat East Ridge. So we are now the outright district runner-up, which has us playing Oviedo in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks, and so that'll be, you guys actually had an open week for the end of the season, so there's a lot of teams that still have football left to play, but we're going to have the benefit of preparing for a couple of weeks to get ready for that big playoff matchup at Oviedo. We want to make sure, and we'll talk about it again before we leave, but all the Leesburg fans travel out there, and we have a good showing to go on and hopefully cheer the boys on to a victory. Well, you win 31-14 at Lake Weir in a game, like I said before, where the defense come out playing very well. Offensively, we didn't necessarily get things going the way that we would have liked in the first half, but the defense came out, I want to say for the entire first half, 3 and out each series.
Yeah, the defense played extremely well in the first half of the football game, and really did a great job of stopping an offense that has really scored a lot of points the last the weeks leading up to that game. They have a pretty high-powered group of athletes that can score pretty quickly, but our defense did a very, very nice job. They were, focused, highly motivated, and well prepared, and did a great job of getting some 3 and outs. It's just offensively, we really struggled to find rhythm. There were several, penalties that were very costly. A couple of touchdown situations that were negated by penalty, and a few long gains for first downs. But here you see is a highlight there is that the defense, as you mentioned, played so well in the first half. There's a stop for no gain. This is Andre Mitchum finding Adrian Falconer on a big third down conversion right there, I believe. This is Anthony Scott as a young sophomore back for us who's a dynamic talent and showed a little bit of what he's got right there. There's Chandler Strong and Devontae Williams, our leading tackler on defense, on the stop there. And then here's Andre Mitchum with a nice nifty run there with the stiff arm, and then a nice physical finish on the sideline. Okay, and then back with our defense, you see Austin Walker in on the stop, and just a good. I thought we played well in the first half, but the score didn't necessarily indicate how well we were playing defensively and offensively. I thought we did some good things, but we just were either having mistakes that were killing us, or the officials were finding some holding penalties and some things of that nature that were stalling some drives out.
So we end the first quarter 0-0, and it was really in the second quarter where the Jackets were able to get things going offensively. There was a nice run by Jefferson on the first drive of the Yellow Jackets in the second quarter. Benton had several key carries to get us right down to the goal line, and then Mitchum's able to punch the ball in on a keeper.
Yes, that was a solid drive for us where we were able to avoid some of the penalties that were hurting us throughout the ball game, and there certainly in the first quarter. But Bryant Benton did a nice job with some strong runs, and then Andre Mitchum's been great inside the 5 all year long at converting touchdowns from the quarterback position, so he was able to punch one in there for us.
Yeah, and we kicked the ball off, and I thought, listening to the guys on the radio, an interesting fact was Eldridge's 25 touchbacks on 42 kickoffs, and obviously every kickoff you're not shooting for a touchback, and so that was a pretty impressive on the ensuing kickoff that he had once again got a touchback.
Yeah, he's been very, very, very strong with that. It's a great weapon because field position is so important in football. If you can get a team to have to drive 80 yards every time as opposed to 60 yards or 50 yards, then you have a much better chance of stopping them from scoring. So James Eldridge has been fabulous with his kickoffs this year.
Leesburg gets the ball back. We're starting to drive the ball downfield, almost pick up where we left off on the last drive. Unfortunately, there's a Mitchum fumble on that drive, and so after the Mitchum touchdown, the Jackets are still playing well defensively, but still not able to quite get into sync offensively.
Yeah, we still struggle to maintain any real rhythm. As you see there, a couple of great defensive plays, but our defense played so well in the first half. There's Andre Mitchum connecting with Lee Bennett, the versatile number 15 that does a little bit of everything for us. And then there's Mitchum to Adrian Falconer once again on a critical third down. And Adrian had an outstanding game for us catching the football. There you see Tanner Long and some of the defensive players, a host of defensive players, Yellow Jackets in there on the stop. So, and Tanner, speaking of him, he had a great game as well defensively.
Lake Weir gets the ball back. Probably they're going to be their last drive of the first half, and I guess I was mistaken that almost the entire first half they went 3-0. I think in that last possession they were able to get a first down.
Correct.
And the first down that they picked up, it wasn't like they had run 10 yards past the marker. They squeaked it in, and I think there might have even been a little bit of a fumble or a kind of a player falling forward to pick it up. And so the defense really did play well all night. Leesburg gets the ball back. A great return by Jefferson, but it was negated, unfortunately, by a holding penalty. So we end up with a ball where it looked like it would have been a little further downfield, still in pretty decent field position, right around midfield on the Lake Weir 48. Couple of drop passes, a couple of great plays. Ultimately, we're forced into a position to where it looks like we're going to have to punt the ball away at the end of the half. We're up 7-0 at that point. By no means a runaway. As a coach, you want more than a 7-point lead if you can get it going into the half, I'm sure. And so we send the punt squad out, and just when it seems the drive's about to end, Leesburg has a fake punt to go up a touchdown. I believe it was yeah,
that's Mitchum to Adrian Falconer right there. And this was the fourth down play here where, this is something we had worked on for a while, and we just saw that Lake Weir had basically a 9-man front with 2 guys covering our outside receivers and nobody in the middle of the field. And really it was a play that, it takes a little guts to call and run at that situation, but we really felt like the look that they put against us was going to be impossible for them to defend it, and there it was. Lee Bennett hit Adrian Falconer on the pass, and not only did we were able to get the first down there at the end of the half, but a touchdown, which was nice to go up 2 touchdowns at halftime.
Yeah, Bennett hits Falconer, and it, from what it appears, is that Lake Weir was coming after it. I mean, it looks like they were going to try to get a block and shift the momentum back the other way going into halftime, and you guys were able to capitalize on the look that you saw there, I guess, and ultimately go in the halftime with a 14-0 lead. I'm sure you're happy with the way the defenses had played in the first half, but at halftime you probably weren't overly ecstatic about the offensive performance.
No, we going in with a 2-touchdown lead. We were, it's better than being tied or 1 touchdown certainly, but we would have liked to, the way the defense played, you'd like to say, hey, be a 3 or 4 touchdown lead really, as well as that defense had played in the first half, but and then we were concerned because they are an offense that can strike quickly and they can score points very fast. Even though you're shutting them down, all it takes is one big play for them to be right back in it. So we really needed to get our offense moving there in the second half.
And to start the second half, the Jackets get the ball first, come out and move the ball right down the field. There was, I believe, a catch to Bennett. Peppers had a catch on the night. I think it was maybe his 3rd catch on the season because I'd interviewed him a week or 2 ago, and it was actually probably the longest reception that he's had of the season. Get up near the goal line, we see Trayvon Johnson, who we've seen some at running back this year, but really focused on him on that drive, and he was able to ultimately get a couple, 2 or 3 runs there, and a Mitchum handoff to Trayvon Johnson for a touchdown. So it was a nice offensive possession for the Jackets to start the third quarter.
It was. There were some nice things there. You mentioned Ben Peppers with a big catch. This is Andre Mitchum hitting Lee Bennett right there over the middle, which was it's a play we hit on them on a couple occasions. And then there's the pass to Ben Peppers there. Mitchum, and boy, Peppers almost got himself into the end zone there, but got tripped up. And then you mentioned Trayvon Johnson, who really had a nice night for us running the football. Trayvon's has been a very valued member of the program the last couple of years. So all those guys contributing that drive was nice to see. Ben Peppers, Trayvon Johnson, and Lee Bennett, all guys have done a good job for us this year.
So just that fast, the Jackets are up 21-0. We go from a few seconds from halftime, essentially, to only being up 7-0, and then 2 big bam back-to-back. You're up 21-0. The defense comes back out. They're continuing to play well. There was a 3rd and 14. I think Jordan Tucker sets up a sack against Lake Weir. Unfortunately, that time Lake Weir punted the ball away. Jefferson touched the ball and the drive didn't end there, but.
Yeah, this was one that's still baffling to me. That sack fumble that you see there. I don't know why that was not called a fumble, but hey, sometimes it's hard for the officials to make those calls when it's happening very fast. Very easy for us to see it there on tape, but boy, that would have been a big call to really expand the lead and make it a different ball game there.
Definitely would have. Like I said before, Lake Weir ends up punting the ball away. Unfortunately, Jefferson touches the ball on a play that he probably should have gotten away from the ball on, and ends up touching it, and Lake Weir ends up getting the ball back. They're ultimately able to get their first score on the night, probably about 3/4 of the way through the third quarter. So with a little bit of football left to play, probably 13 minutes or so left of football to play, Leesburg's up 21-7.
Yeah. So instead of it being a possible 28, if we have that sack, fumble, scoop, and score, it's 28-0. Then they punt. So we had the special teams mistake there, the mishap there with the ball hitting our returner. Then they ended up scoring 1 because they were so close in there. And then it was 21-7. It's a different ball game, and we've got to really make sure that we do a good job of fielding their onside kick that they do so often as part of their regular kickoff, and then hopefully be able to hang on to our lead and hopefully expand it and win the ball game.
And you talk about catching one bad break after the other. We come back, and just when we're starting to get into a rhythm offensively, Falconer goes for a long touchdown. So we end up getting called back on I think it was a holding penalty or a block on the back, one of the two. But we ended up going from a position to where we had just possibly had a touchdown to having the ball back, I believe, on our own 30, I think. But somewhere it was a huge momentum shifter, and ultimately Leesburg's not able to capitalize on that drive and punch the ball away.
Right. I mean, again, that's another example of, the game changing there. And if we have that Falconer touchdown, it's a different ball game as opposed to where we are at that point, which was, added some drama to what was going on. That's for sure.
Definitely did. Lake Weir gets the ball back. They're coming off of their last possession, having a touchdown. They go on somewhat of a long, if you want to call it that, methodical drive for them, at least on the night. And there were a couple of key plays on that drive. I know that that's the one that Tanner Long had the interception on. It was a big play defensively.
Yeah, there you see Jermaine Gasson stringing that out, and Trayvon Bell coming up and making a tackle from the cornerback position. And there's Tanner Long with a big interception, nice leaping grab, and then great returns. You see a lot of the Jackets getting out in front to make blocks for them. That's a huge play for us to get that turnover and then provide some good field position there for the offense.
So we really reversed the field. When you look at where he intercepted it, Lake Weir starting to knock on the door, potentially going to score. They're starting to get into the red zone. We get the interception, end up with the ball back on the Lake Weir 30 to try to get another score so the 36, I guess, is where Leesburg starts their drive. Ultimately not able to punch the ball in, but we got some points. Eldridge gets a nice field goal and puts the Jackets up 24-7.
Yeah, there's a nice pass there again to Lee Bennett. And of course we had a few penalty situations that ended up backing us up. And there's Trayvon Johnson with the catch that sets up the field goal from James Eldridge. And Eldridge has been great all year long. I think that was his third field goal attempt of the year, and he was up to that point 3 for 3 on field goals. And I'm sure he could be even better on field goals with more opportunities. But that was a nice job there.
So Lake Weir gets the ball back, and they're able to get a couple of big plays. Probably their best drive of the night offensively. 2 big plays, 4 touchdowns. Leesburg's up 24-14 at that point. On the kickoff, Leesburg gets the ball in good field position. That's the drive that I think Eldridge tried the long field goal on. Mm-hmm. I think it might have been 42 yards somewhere in there.
It was a 42-yarder. Mm-hmm.
Had the distance, just didn't have it zoned in right. But ultimately, Lake Weir's able to come back, not able to do much. There was a play on the next drive for Lake Weir on the ensuing drive. It looked like Jeremy Jones was going to get an interception. There was a roughing the passer call that when I watched the film back, it didn't quite look, and I think we have a clip of that maybe here, but it didn't quite look like there was a roughing call there. But ultimately, the Jackets are able to come away with a victory, 31-14 victory, get one final score on the night late in the fourth quarter to go up and win the game.
Yeah, well, there's Brian Jefferson right there, who's been such a strong player for us this year as a receiver, and you see him carrying the ball there, which was nice. And then here's the final touchdown that we had as Jefferson from Andre Mitchum. Just a nice job of really putting the game away right there.
So Leesburg wins 31-14. I'm sure as soon as the game was over, the team had the word that the other things, because we actually started a little later than some of the other games. We started at 7:30, and the other game started, I believe, at 7.
Yep.
So at that point in time, I'm sure everybody's overly ecstatic, avoiding the playoff. You guys are in the locker room. I'm sure that it was a good time.
Yeah, it was great. It was great for the young men. I mean, they've worked so hard, are so committed and dedicated to each other. I know that these guys, many of the players on this football team, were on last year's football team that were in a similar situation last year, Week 10. We were finished 8-2. We won the football game. It was the seniors' last game on our home field. So it was such a mixture of emotions because we're so happy. But then, to give them the news that we weren't going to be in because the other things didn't happen our way, it was a downer for those guys. Whereas this year, we were able to get some of the other things to happen our way, and we're in. So it was great to give those guys the news. They're ecstatic. The coaching staff was very excited about it, and now it's on to the second season and see if we can keep this thing going.
All right, we're back, and our next two guests on the Leesburg High Sports Buzz Show are Austin Nappi, number 41, senior defensive end for the Yellow Jackets, and Deandre Wilson, number 95, a junior defensive tackle for the Jackets. How are you guys doing?
Good, thank you.
Well, Austin, obviously you're a senior this year.
Yes, sir.
And the season's actually turned out a little better than it was going to look for a while. It looks like we're going to make it in the playoffs.
Yes, sir.
Any moments at all that stand out to you as a senior Yellow Jacket? I know you've been playing, you said, for a couple of years now, but as a senior Yellow Jacket, anything that stands out in your mind as something you'll remember for the rest of your life?
Probably just, finally making it into the playoffs. I know last year we came up short, and just, it was devastating for most people, especially the seniors. But me, being my first year, I just wanted to take it a little bit farther than just the regular season. So, of course, now that it's my senior year and we finally do get into the playoffs, that was a big thing for me that'll probably, stick with me for a while.
And obviously, as a senior, you participated this year in the senior events that have been the last game, the senior night, and then you're creeping up on what you thought might have been your last football game as a high school player at least, and you guys are making it in the playoffs now. Did any of your family get a chance to participate with you in the senior night events?
Yeah, I brought my stepfather Daryl and my mother Tara Nappi, and my grandparents. They were also there in the stands. So it was fun. It was a good time.
That's always fun to have them there watching, and the family. I'm sure they're all very proud of you. You're interesting because you didn't play football until 2 years ago. What kind of led up to that decision? And I guess you didn't play before, and then you decided halfway through your high school career to get involved.
Well, but the beginning of my high school career, my grades, they weren't where I thought they should have been, and I actually tried to join the football team my sophomore year, and my grades weren't, they weren't up to where, I was able to play football, and I got turned down because of them. And I guess that just made me get my grades up to where I could play, and once I was able to play football, I had to maintain a certain academic level, and that just kept me with good grades. And ever since then I've been improving. So this is by far my best year academically.
Yeah, I know Coach Travers always stresses the academics. We've had other guests on, obviously, and they've talked about that. And I'm sure you probably participate in or have at some point in the football class.
Yes, sir. I have it 7th period.
And you guys actually focus on academics there first, and then get into the football stuff once that's all taken care of.
Yeah, we have about 30 minutes of academic homework and stuff just to get whatever we need to done.
Well, I've enjoyed watching you play this year. I know I was chatting with you earlier. The Lake Minneola game in particular, I love to see you get in there and get that big sack.
Yeah.
That had been pretty memorable for you.
Yeah, it was. And
you're a high energy guy, even out there on special teams. So you're certainly a pleasure to watch. And Deandre, you're a junior this year.
Yes, sir.
So you've still got another year of high school ball left.
Yes, sir.
You didn't start playing though until you were in high school as well, correct?
Yes, sir.
And what led to that decision for you?
Actually, one of my friends encouraged me on the football team. I wasn't going to come, but he just told me to keep coming, and
And you're a defensive tackle?
Yes, sir.
And what do you like about playing defensive tackle?
Well, because we're right there where the action starts, so it's either we stop it first or,
So you're out there making big plays. It's interesting. A lot of the fans out there probably don't know about the sticker program you guys have, or the incentive program you have for the football team. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, basically we get stickers on the back of our helmets for stuff we did during the game. Like if you're on offense, you could get it for for 20-yard gains or touchdowns, but on defense you could get it for interceptions, sacks, and tackle for losses.
And you get the sticker and you get to wear it, and I guess I'm sure you guys amongst each other keep count and see who's doing the best.
Yes, sir.
Do we know who's doing the best thus far?
It's kind of hard to tell between Jordan Tucker and some of our offensive players, but it's pretty neck and neck.
So I'm sure you're pulling for Jordan Tucker then, if it's between an offensive player and a defensive player.
Yes, sir.
You said that don't play any other sports.
No, sir.
Just football, but I'm sure you participate in all of the stuff that leads up. Does Coach have you guys that don't play other sports maybe lifting year round and doing that kind of thing, or what do you do in the off season?
Well, in the off season, he usually tells us to stay healthy and don't be like a couch potato. So he would rather us get out and do something active. He doesn't want us killing ourselves with stuff that we're not supposed to do. But
keep your nose clean, right?
Yes, sir.
So obviously this year, unlike last year, last year you guys had a great record. This year you've got an okay record. Could have been better, a couple of games here and there that could have made a big difference, but weren't able to pull through and get the win. But last year you guys don't make it into the playoffs. this year we're in the playoffs. What do you think about that?
Well, you know, last year I came on the varsity with the varsity in the last 2 games, and I would have liked to seen the guys from last year actually play in the playoffs because they wanted it just as bad as we wanted this year. But I guess that's just how things come out and work out.
It's the way the balls bounce sometime. And I was chatting with you guys earlier about the routine you guys go through on a weekly basis. You guys have the week, the game, and then you have on Saturdays. Usually you come in and lift, I think, and watch the game, film, and do that type of thing. But this past weekend, because we have a couple weekend gap in between the next playoff game, you guys got the day off.
Yeah.
So that was pretty good, right?
Yeah, pretty relaxing, you know.
First Saturday in how long?
I can't remember. It's been a while.
About 10 weeks, probably, yeah. And so obviously don't get too complacent though, because we still got a playoff game left against Oviedo, a big one.
Yes, sir.
Boys, pretty pumped up about it.
Yes, sir.
Good deal. Well, I know the community is excited, and hopefully we'll have a good bit of Yellow Jacket fans that come out there and watch the game and cheer you guys on. And we look forward to you guys going out and getting a playoff win and continuing on in the playoffs. All right, thanks, guys. Well, I know you probably haven't had very much time to start game planning for Oviedo, but what can you tell us about them?
Well, you know, Oviedo is a team that's only had 1 loss this year, so highly successful football team. I think they're extremely well coached when you watch them play. They're very, very sound, well coached. They have an offense that features a very good quarterback that's athletic, that can run, and a running back that's extremely impressive. Combines good strength, speed, and quickness, and breaks tackles. Their offensive line is very big. They have good sized guys there, and then they have a couple of receivers that can do it. So they're a balanced offense when you look at them. They really don't have a place where you say, man, they're weak up front, or their receivers aren't very good, or their running back. They're very balanced. And then defensively, you know, they're very, very good, very sound. You know, out front team that plays some mixture of man and zone coverage, and they have some outside linebackers that really come after you. So it's you know, this game is going to be a very, very big challenge for us because Oviedo is well coached. They've had success, so I'm certain that they're very confident at this point going into the playoffs, and you know, and they've got good athletes. Yeah, so it's going to be a great challenge for us.
Well, Coach, I'm ecstatic the guys have made it into the playoffs this year, as I'm sure you are. We look forward to going out and watching you guys bring home a victory in a couple of weeks. It's been a pleasure all season for the regular season. Hopefully we'll continue this on into the postseason. We'd like to thank the viewers out there for watching the Leesburg High Sports Buzz. We invite you guys back in a couple weeks to watch the highlights from the Oviedo game. And, Coach, we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Ashley.
This program is made possible in part by a production grant from Phillips Buick GMC.
Want to save money servicing your vehicle? Visit Phillips Buick GMC, your Buick GMC certified service dealer. For oil changes, tire repairs, or maintenance, you get more than fast, reliable service. You get fair pricing and quality work done the first time by factory-trained technicians you can trust. And with 48 service bays, no appointments are necessary. Phillips Buick GMC, your Buick GMC certified service dealer, just south of the Villages.